This lesson is on understanding percents. Percents means to compare something to 100. This lesson is on understanding percents. Percent means to compare something to 100. And you can think of per as meaning each. And you can think of cent. Well, when we hear the word cent, the first thing that might come to our mind is 1 cent. All right, and there are 100 pennies in a dollar. So 1% would be like saying 1 cent. Or we might think of the word century, and there are 100 years in a century. So we can see that cent means 100. So each 100 or per 100. And we can think of it like a fraction or a decimal. So if we have this here, this is what percent, what part of 100. So let's go back and take a look here at our grid. We have a grid here, and there are 100 squares. If we count down, there are 10 squares. If we count across, there are 10 squares. So 10 times 10 is 100. So there are 100 squares here. Right now, 0 of them are filled in. So 0% or no parts of this are filled in. The decimal is 0, and the fraction is 0 out of 100, or 0 out of 1. So let's go ahead and put something here in our fraction grid, percent grid, and we're going to fill this up about halfway. So we're going to fill in 5 rows. Notice it says that is 50%. And the decimal we express as 5/10, but you know that a decimal, if you have 0.5, you know that there is a 0 here. It's invisible. We don't need to write it. In fact, usually we just write this 5/10. You can write this like this, and that means it is 50 100ths, because this second position right here is the hundredths place. The first position is tenths. Second position is the hundredths. So this is 50 hundredths or 5/10. So 50 hundredths, there's the word hundred again. So 50 per 100. And if you take a look at the fraction, 50 hundredths can be written 50 over 100. Now we know that that's not simplified. If we simplify that, that is 1/2, which makes sense because if we divide this into 2 equal parts, half of it red, half of it still blue, that is 1/2. 1/2 of these cubes in the 100 grid are red. So what happens if we have a different grid? So let's take a look at some of the different possible grids that we have here. Let me minimize this. And we have several types of grids here. And we have one that is broken up into 4 parts. One is broken up into, I don't know how many parts, we'd have to count that, and here's our hundreds grid again. Let's go take a look at this one. If we filled in just one of these grids right here, this isn't equal to 100. It is equal to 1 out of 4 parts. We'll call that as filled in. So we're going to say part to whole, it's a fraction, it's a part of a number, equals what part or what percent. That's supposed to be a percent sign, which is 2 zeros divided by a slash. So I'll write that a little later. Percent of 100. All right. So there is one part that is blue. That is our part. And the whole parts there are 4. We have 4 parts at 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 out of 4 is blue. And we want to know what percent, so we don't know what that is, of 100. What part of 100 is 1 out of 4? Well, there's a number of ways we can solve it. We'll just use a magic. So we're going to use a magic 1 to turn this 4 into 100. So 4 times what? 4 times what equals 100? Well, 4 times 25 equals 100. And if I multiply the bottom by 25, I have to multiply the top by 25. And so 1 times, oh, I didn't write 25 there very well. Let's try that again. 25. 1 times 25 equals 25. So I know that it is 25% because 25x equals 25, and that's in the percent place. So it is 25%. So this right here is 25% of this block is filled in. And you can follow the same recipe for the rest of these. So let's fill in a couple of these blocks right here. Let's fill in, we'll fill in 5 of these. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's get crazy. Let's do 7 of them. So there's 7, and there's 10 in this row, and 10 in that row. So that means if I compare my part to a whole, I have 7 out of 20 because there are 20 of these parts in this whole object here. So 7 out of 20 is what percent of 100? I have to change this into something over 100. A percent is a fraction or part of 100. So I have to change whatever number I have, I need to change to 100 to find out the percent. So how do I turn 20 into 100? We use the magic 1 again. 20 times 5 equals 100. So if I multiply that by 5, I have to multiply this by 5. And 7 times 5 equals 35. So my percent here is 35%. So percent means to compare something to 100. So you have to change your percent to 100.